going to be a short video to show you or demonstrate to you how to complete your forecasting problem for the week. Depending which semester you're in, there may be a different problem, so I'm going to try to show you how to do a moving average or solve for a forecasting moving average problem to just about any question or problem you might see. So I'm going to open an Excel spreadsheet, and based on table 11.3 in the text. By the way, this 3-period moving average, where we're going to calculate the moving average, the 3-period forecast, and we'll calculate the error for each of the periods as well as the cumulative error. But this is the solution. I'm going to scroll down and show you how we get there. Okay? So we'll get moving average first, then we'll move down and we'll do a 5-period. Again, depending on which semester you take from me, you might have a question asking you to do a 6-period. Let's start with 3. I put in all of the data from the table just up to period 12. All that we really need would be periods to get through 3-year and a 3-period and 5-period, and you'll see this in a minute. But what you want to do is you take the demand data. So this is the demand for the product or service in the first 3 periods. And for moving average, what you do is take the average of any 3 periods and determine what that would be. Okay. And how you do that, by the way, in Excel is if you want to take the average here, go to the that you want to put the average in. So right here, if I want the average of the first 3 periods, I go up to this, make sure on the Home tab in Excel, go up to where it says Auto Sum, but instead pull down the bar, or the other way, I am in off 2007. But a higher version should have a similar function. So instead of doing sum, we want to take the average, okay? So it looks like it's trying to take the average for these 2 columns. Instead, we want to take the average of those 3 rows. So it looks good. I go back up, average for the second time, and this 19 is our average, okay? In order to get the average for the remaining periods, all I have to do is copy this and then go ahead and scroll down and I paste, and it automatically gives me the, and I'll double click to get rid of that blinking bar with that cell. So we've got our averages for all of the periods. That's pretty easy. And the 3 forecast works is once you get your average for the first 3 periods, that average, okay, becomes forecast for the very next period, in which case this is period 4. Okay. Now I'm not going to copy this, right click and copy, because it wants to copy the formula in, and if you look here, here's the formula if you take an average. So I actually just have to, maybe somebody knows a faster way, I'm just going to type that in, and I'll tell you in a minute why that cell is highlighted in yellow. And I can just go down and type in, and whatever the average was prior period, it becomes your moving average forecast, okay, in the next period. So 24.7 and so on. Let's say it one more time. You take the average of your first 3 periods, do that in Excel, that'll do it automatically. Here's your average, okay? That's not your forecast. That's 3-period moving average. And it moves because every period, you're going to be dropping one of the pin, adding another. So in this period, actually what we're doing is we're going to be taking the average of these 3, right? That's our average 20.7. For the it becomes our forecast in the 5th period over here. Quickly, because I let Excel do the computations. Okay. So I can continue on here. 12.0, whoops, 19.3, 12.7, I'm off at 3. That's 14.7 and 17.0. A minute, make it right. 19, 20.7. Yep. Looks good. Okay. I don't have all the decimal places, but that's fine. So we find our forecast error. We want to take a look at the demand for any period. Track from that what the in this case the 3-period forecast would be. So we want to take demand, so it's expressed by big D with a little t, and forecast is expressed by F little t. And you do that formula, we can't do a sum because this column is in the middle. So just enter a formula. We want to go by the cell. So we're going to go plus, and in this case it's cell B27. The error, which is in cell D27. Okay, we get a forecast error of -4. And going up here to make sure I did it right. Okay. Again, we can see this cell. Instead of doing it for all of the periods, we can just copy and then, and then paste it in. Again, I'm going to check, yep. And that gives us our errors for each of the periods. And the cumulative error, if your question asks you to calculate a cumulative error, it's just a simple sum of all of the individual errors of each period. So in this case, now we will just do auto sum, and we'll so on the let's do it again. Right, and then we go sum again. We have a cumulative error of 2.70 for these periods. Okay, again, I didn't do everything in the text, so it won't add up. That's how you do it. Now, I have these in yellow, and I should have mentioned it because these are the two cells where you want to subtract the forecast error from the demand. And that's where you come up with the -4. So that's all there is to it. If your problem asks you to compare the cumulative forecast errors for a 3-period and a 5 or 6-period, now we have to do the same thing for the next second, and let's do a 5-period. What we want to do, just like we did with 3, now we're going to take the average of 5 periods and put it in a cell, okay, cell C50. So we're going to go ahead and get the average. You have to highlight the cells that we want to take the average for. Average again, and 20.4. Copy this cell. I can paste it here. Now we have a 5-period moving average for each of these. Again, what this will reflect is, again, this cell is the average of these 5 periods, which is C51. Will drop the first period, and now it'll take the average of these 5 periods, and so forth. We keep picking up one more period and dropping one. Now, if you remember, the average from your periods becomes your forecast in period 6. So we'll just do 20.4 and 20.8. 16.2, and so now let's go ahead and finish it up, and I'll tell you why in a minute. 7.6, 4.4, and 15.0. So I've said these again because the first time we can compute an error is in the first period have a forecast. And because a 5-period moving average forecast, period 6 is the first time we can have a calculation. So we are going to take this cell, 20.4, away from 12. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. I'll go plus, and then B 50 minus 51. This is a negative 8.4. just go check that I did it correctly. B51, yep, 951. And again, we can copy this and paste it here, okay? And then add the cumulative error, sum, and then, and then 10.80 as our cumulative sum, and we compare that to the 2.70. So for a particular set of moving averages in mind, I stopped at period 12. There is your error in 5-period large cumulative error for using the period moving average forecast than there is for the 3-period. I'm not going to tell you which one is better. That is probably going to be part of your problem that you have to do. So you have to assess whether your shorter or longer period is better. You're going to want to do a couple things. You want to compare the error. You want to assess for the product that you're being asked to consider whether a shorter period is better than a longer period or vice versa. If your product has a short shelf life, like as in a product that has short expiration, like if the product we're asking you to do something on milk products has a short shelf life, so that may influence your decision. Anyway, I'll stop there, but that should give you everything you need to do to calculate your problem for this week.